considering that the cord restraint... Whoa, crap. Okay, boys and girls, DK with Mr. V Amps. This is that Fender BXR100 that made the big flash in the previous video. And anyway, the big flash, the power cord is lacking a retainer, and so it can move in and out freely, and it was essentially pulled off of our power switch. I have since plugged it back in, but it had pulled off of the power switch, and then the two hot and neutral from the wall socket had touched each other, and thus a big poofy spark. The rest of the circuit board doesn't look blowed up, but you never know. So I guess we'll plug it in now and see if it explodes. Okay, so now we're going to flip the power switch to on and look for sparks. No, we just got a big old thump out of the amp, which is kind of normal in a solid state, and the power amp's on. Let's see. Got some volume knobs here. I know the speaker's alive because I heard it thump. Let's see. I can't tell that I've got anything out of the volume switch or any of these other switches. So I guess we have to go put some input signal into it. Okay, so this first jack has a crack in the plastic, and it's making kind of crummy connection, but it does work. And the second jack is better and it works, so replacing that jack is in order. Let's see, there's our gain. That seems to work. Bright works, notch works, deep works, shelving, low and high. That seems to work. And then we have our equalizer and our master volume. And our equalizer seems to work, but we do have one broken pot. Yes, I know the filming on this is awful. So we have one of these pots is broke clean off. Probably can't see it due to the crappy lighting, but it's broke clean off. But in general, our amp works. So the only thing that was actually originally wrong with this was the power cord had been pulled off. Now it can function as an amp. We'll fix it up further at this point. Oh, color me stupid. I got a little bit too invested in fixing this thing. And I'm not completely, I'm totally shot, sunk, whatever here. But I didn't catch it. When I was testing this thing, this leg was unplugged. That's why it sounded so nice. Plug that puppy in there. Now she hums like an SOB. And those two transistors on this side, they're shorted. So yeah, we got more work to do. Somebody was in here. That's why I was missing that other part. And of course these are discontinued. You can't get those pots that you need for the front. I already dove in though. I did a swan dive into a pool of razor blades. So I guess we gotta see this out. Okay, friends and neighbors. We're back to full power on our big Fender BXR100, and I made a boo-boo. That was fun. It made a fun noise when it turned off. It wasn't anything serious, but it kind of went, they do that. Okay, so by default, these two transistors in the back, the tip 142s that look like that, I detected shorts on those. But interestingly enough, the tip 147s on this side, which looked the same, I did not detect shorts on. So being hasty, I assumed that we had shorted transistors, so I swapped them. And see, the original ones had the metal tops to them. Well, guess what? That wasn't the problem. And I rechecked them for shorts before turning it on, so I didn't blow anything up. Sorry if you were hoping for me to blow something up. These transistors are actually okay, and we can toss them in our bin of things. Fenders use those a lot in their solid state stuff. So I started tracing back, and there seemed to be a short across that one. I think that's a 4001 or a 4004 diode. But again, that didn't make sense, and I thought about it. I did one of these BXR100s a while back, and only when the one leg of the power was plugged in there, because this is, you know, a split rail. You've got a center tap there hanging out between the two capacitors, and then you have your two high power leads. When the one high power lead was going, that's when the amp would make a horrible buzzing sound and bad things would happen. But yet, you know, there was no sign of smoke or fire back on those. It just, they were showing shorted. So sure enough, rectifier diode, one of those 6 amp rectifier diodes went south. So we changed those, and now we have a full power amplifier. Now we still have more work to do on the front end. We have some missing, broken potentiometers up there, and we have some crappy input jacks. So we can deal with that. We'll change the input jacks, and the problem with these is they're discontinued, but I found a solution. I got me a parts head. This is the same model, probably a year older, but it's a parts model. Should be the same schematic. Look at those transistors, man. These things are blown to smithereens. The fuse is blown out. I wonder why all that could have happened. Well, here you go. Somebody tried to install their own speaker jack and be able to use an external speaker, and that is doom for solid state amps if you don't know what you're doing. These solid state amps expect a load, they expect a speaker, and they expect it to be within the parameters. Now, again, I have the stock speaker in this existing Fender. I think it's an 8 ohm speaker. I don't know. I have to check. I have to look. But if you fire these things up with no load, or with less of a load, or if those leads short together or something like that, you're just asking for a fire hazard. But this one does have the pots that we're needing. Yay! Okay, so using the pot array that was salvaged out of the totally blown up amplifier, we're back in business. We got all the knobs, all the pots, these pots and all that, that's all been cleaned. The switches work. Those are brand new input jacks. You can buy the ones that fit these Fenders directly at CE Distribution. They look exactly like the original ones, except they have an obscured top. The original ones have the clear top, so you can actually see when they're broken. This one's not totally broken, but I mean, come on, the metal ring that's supposed to be in there is gone, and it's all wallered out. I mean, that's what a good one's supposed to look like. So we're essentially back in business. I can put the head back in the cabinet, clean it, and call it good. Okay, so I've got a chance to test this thing out. It's really, really loud. These, now granted, we're not playing it really, really loud, but it's a really loud amp, which is cool. So it's performing properly. Cosmetically, it's a little rough, but functionally, we've got it back to where it needs to be. I would normally just turn and sell these right away, but anytime you do some kind of surgery on these solid states, it's good to put a couple hours of work on it. So I have an idea of where I can take this, where some fellow musicians and myself will maybe spend some time just giving it some love and getting it some exercise, and then hopefully, you know, we can turn it and sell it. But I'm happy with the way it turned out. I really kind of did need something. I needed a couple of victories here just to kind of get my mojo back. These solid state amps can really sort of make you want to scream and hit your head against the wall. There's not a lot of people that do them. That's probably why I am doing them. It's not easy just to turn around and go, oh hey look, there's a technician that'll just fix your solid state music crap. It just doesn't happen now. And the one shop we did have in town, I think, is gone. I don't think I'm mentally strong enough to do this kind of thing full time, but it's a part-time thing, you know. I can handle it sometimes. But yeah, I'll call this one good. I'm happy with the way it turned out. We'll test on it some more. But we ended up having, the actual problem was a blown rectifier diode, which I'm surprised it didn't throw the fuse, because we had gone through this with another amp that did throw the fuse. And of course the cord retainer missing, which somebody probably just pulled as salvage. That's what caused our spark from before, which is, you know, it's okay. Changed a couple of transistors unnecessarily, desoldered a few components unnecessarily. But once we got the power amp resolved, then it was just a matter of getting the graphic equalizer pots, which are discontinued parts. But we managed to find a salvage unit. And we had to change the input jacks, because Fender input jacks from the 90s break all the time just because they were crap. But yeah, I mean, these amps were popular. They do sound good. And, you know, it's a very usable amp. Wish the Tolex on this was a little nicer. We could probably re-Tolex this and sell it as really, really nice. But no. No. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Have a great day.